News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. Dave Wolf, Bret Witkowski at Dickinson Stadium, wrapping up tonight's game between St. Joe and Portage Central. Portage Central comes away with a 35-18 win over St. Joe. And plain and simple, Portage Central took advantage of St. Joe's mistakes. St. Joe took advantage of Portage Central's mistakes, but not enough mistakes from Portage Central.
Yeah, St. Joe had a few more mistakes, I thought. 44 turnovers, a couple of interceptions, one for a pick six, the opening kickoff to start the third quarter. And those are things that happen. And St. Joe was able to stay in the game because of Portage Central's mistakes. What a heads-up play, though, by Rapette.
Yeah.
Ball's laying on there at the 1 yard line. Portage Central's going in. Everybody thinks it's over. The officials haven't blown the whistle. He picks it up and runs for 99-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. That's got to be a new St. Joe record.
Yeah, it is, because I looked in the record book and I couldn't find anything.
So you made
I made the decision that's the official record.
Yeah. And you know, when you play a team like Portage Central, and St. Joe's got it next week with Portage Run, and Lake Shore's a much improved team, your mistakes are magnified and taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for St. Joe in the future, this season, something that has hurt them from day one has been fumbles. They have fumbled the ball a lot from the running back position, from the handoffs, different reasons.
Well, even the tosses from the quarterback to the running backs, they haven't been on. That really wasn't the case tonight, but it was just plain old fumbles. It's like one hit and the running back drops the ball.
And those things just have to be corrected. And, you know, every year in every sport, teams usually have an Achilles heel that coaches try to work from day one to the end. And right now, that's St. Joe's Achilles heel. Going into the ball game, St. Joe had 12 turnovers with only 2 takeaways.
Yeah.
So that's a -10, and tonight didn't help the cause.
The game against Niles, the game against tonight, the yardage wasn't that off completely, and it was St. Joe.
And that doesn't count the 99-yard fumble recovery.
No, that doesn't. I mean, what it does is tell us Portage Central had that long drive to get down to the 1 yard line and fumble, but they didn't get anything out of it. St. Joe got the score instead. But St. Joe's offense, the running game wasn't there tonight. They did a wonderful job of trying to pass the ball, but it was just not enough. The accuracy wasn't there, overthrown, and I would say a couple, you know, the Portage Central interception, that's one thing, but St. Joe's passing game isn't there. They cannot be a team from behind. St. Joe has to have a lead in order to play their game. Their game is the running game, and it has been for the last few years. St. Joe is not a passing team. And when St. Joe tries to pass the ball, things are just not going to work for St. Joe.
Well, I mean, you have to throw it enough, though, to keep the defense honest, and I thought they did that tonight. I think probably what hurt St. Joe a little bit is they haven't become dependent on the pass because the run wasn't there consistently enough. And part of it was, I think, maybe a lack of confidence that someone could fumble again, you know, those type of things. So I think the one positive, St. Joe showed that they can throw the ball more than they have all season. I thought there were some great catches. We named Sicarella as our player of the game. He had 6 catches, 1 for 76-yard touchdown. You know, St. Joe, with the talent they have, traditionally is going to be a run-based offense, and that's fine. But you always have to have some passing. And I think that's what has hurt Portage Central throughout the decades. Inability to get past semi or the district is the inability to be able to at least throw the ball.
Because, you know, when you get into the playoffs, you get into October and November where the weather isn't that great for passing game.
But you still have to have the
ability to pass. And with a good passing game, opens up the rushing game. A good rushing game opens up the passing game. Yep. And too much one side, you know, you just put 8 in the box. And
unless you have the horses to block and run like a wing tee that Edwardsburg did for a decade. Mm-hmm. But they have even shown that it is not necessarily always the offense. It is the talent you have with the offense, because they're 3-2 this year as St. Joe and a lot of teams are. So, you know, there was positives. I thought defensively they played a lot better in the second quarter. Third quarter, I just think it was almost too much chaos going on out there from the turnovers.
I think it was just kind of like, you know.
13 seconds, St. Joe had muffed a kickoff return, thrown an interception. Portage Central had done a pick 6 and missed the extra point, all within 13 seconds. That's a lot of chaos in 13 seconds. And when you're a young team, I've said this from day one, I'll say it till the season's over, when you're a young team, your peaks and valleys are greater than a veteran team. And so when a team is young and they struggle, they sink quickly. as a group.
It's quicksand, basically.
Yeah, and then when they recover quickly. But it's just going to take that leadership of some juniors who probably have to become seniors from that standpoint. Especially in the offensive line, they have nobody who's a senior. They're all juniors and sophomores to be able to handle these three opponents. We've talked about this is their tough part of the schedule. Next week will be no easier. Portage Northern probably is the better of the two Portage teams this year.
And Portage Northern and Portage Central haven't played yet.
No, they play week 7 the same week St. Joe and Lakeshore do. So, for St. Joe, there's positives to take from this. I thought the passing game developed. But it's not something they're going to win championships on. It still has to come down to run game. And I think St. Joe definitely has to work on holding on the ball and not helping their opponent pick up 3 easy points.
I think the one thing that really also helped St. Joe was the penalties were a lot reduced. They didn't have a lot of penalties like they did last week.
No, you're right. Yeah,
they only had 3 penalties.
Yeah, that's really good because that's another self-defeating activity that can really cost you a game. Didn't cost them here tonight. Portage Central had quite a few in the second quarter. St. Joe goes in the locker room with the lead. You're thinking, man, this is great. And then when you come out of the locker room with a lead, that momentum needs to be seized and capped and taken over and run with. And like I said, within 13 seconds, it was like, wow, the world just happened.
It was on the opening kickoff.
It was like watching a car crash. There was nothing good about it.
St. Joe falls to 3-2 in the season, 2-1 in the SMAC. Portage Central proves to 4-1 in the season and 3-0 in the SMAC. St. Joe on the road next week at Portage Northern. Portage Northern easily defeating Battle Creek Lakeview tonight. So
what was that score?
Last I looked, it was like 36-21. So
Lakeview can score.
They can't stop. They can't stop anybody. As we saw in the last 2 minutes in the second half of last week. St. Joe on the road at Portage Northern next week. We'll be on the air next week at 6:35 from Husky Stadium in Portage. For Jill Cordes, Bret Witkowski, I'm Dave Wolf. News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJ.